singa ade bagamba nti treason je ya dizeri naye tebabaguddeeko musango gwa treason. UPDF Act n'amateeka gano amalala galaga nti emisango oyina kubavunaana gye bagamba gye baddiza wano singa ebadde treason baaliga nti kale mwagiddiza eri naye n'obateekako being in possession of a firearm nti wayina pistol kyamenya amateeka agaawa ne batagateekamu nti which is a monopoly eya defense forces ezaawa ne bataziteekamu. Kenya yennyini gye bagamba gye babasanze ku Riverside oba wa tenna complaininga nti waliyo abantu abayingidde ewaabwe mu bweru w'amateeka nga balina ne pistol. Kenya tenna ba complaininga naye bano ne bakikola bwe batyo. So bino ebisango byakujwetekawo bujwetesi okugezaako okukola gye bayita persecution naye si byamateeka. Bino bye tulimu kati si mateeka wabula tuli mu nkola y'abantu abakola ebintu eby'ekikawuboyi. Ekirala twagala okuteeka gavumenti ya Kenya ku nninga. Abantu bano baavuddeyo batya ne bajja wane Kenya. Bava batya Kenya ne bajja e Uganda. Tebayise na mu immigration. Dr. Besigye na Obedi baafuluma nga bayise mu immigration ku airport e Uganda wano ne bayingira Kenya ne baba stampingira mu passport zaabwe bakomawo batya eno nga tebayise mu process yemu. Kenya government nesigala nga ifuuse kyesirikidde. Tubalaze emitendera giri ebiri mwosobola okuddiza omuntu mu mateeka. Either okoze extradition nga ono yaleka eno emisango gye yazza n'adduka kye bayita okubeera fugitive. Ne bagamba mutuyamba oyo omuntu eyazzeeyo mu ggwanga ewammwe yaleka eno emisango gy'azizza egiri mu kooti. Ekyo si kye bagamba. Ekyokubiri ye deportation. N'oyingira Kenya mu bumenyi bw'amateeka oba n'oyingirayo mu mateeka n'oddizaayo emisango. Naye mu keesi zombi gavumenti ye Kenya yeyina okusooka complaininga. Bw'ebeera extradition Minister wa Foreign Affairs zona alina okuwandiikira Minister munno we Kenya ekitaabaddewo. Ate ne bayita mu gye bayita judicial process eye Kenya. Amateeka bwe gagamba extradition aga Uganda n'age Kenya ne bakutwala mu kooti ye Kenya nekola order eye extradition ne bakuleeta oba nekola order eye deportation ne bakuleeta. Naye eno kidnap kuwamba buwambi muntu n'omujja mu room mu hoteli n'omuleeta n'omusimba mu kooti. Twagala okubuuza gavumenti ye Kenya nti kaakati tekikyali safe munna Uganda yenna ddala opposition okulinnya ku territory yabwe Kenya kubanga guno si gwe mulundi ogusoose. Tulina abakulembeze baffe 36 abakwatibwa ekisuumu ne bakomezebwawo mu nkomyawo y'emu. Kaakati bakikoze ne ku mulundi guno. So twagala okuteeka gavumenti ye Kenya ku nninga etubulire kaakati forces za Uganda eza security aba ISO ba SO ba UPDF basalimbanga we bagala mu Kenya ne bakwata omuntu nga bwe bagala ne bamujimba jeke ne bamutikka mu birole ne batambuza ne bakomyawo eno nga bwe bagala. Gavumenti ye Kenya kyeyina okukitunyonya kubanga ekyo kimenya mateeka. Ye bino byeboogera Pan-Africanism, byeboogera East African Community. East African Community kubanga buli munna Uganda abeera free okutambula mu nsi eza East Africa. Kakati nakyo tekikyaliwo mu mateeka bakwata bukwasi nga akwata akanyonyi n'okasuka ku pick up n'okomyawo eno. So ekisembayo kyekyokuba nti gino emisango gye boogera Switzerland, simanya Greece, simanya wa zeze ensi zaayo nga zigamba ki? Switzerland yeegamba ki ku nsonga eno? Greece yeegamba ki gyagamba nti bano gye batuula okugamba nti bateesa ku by'okukwata emmundu nekino nekiri. Egyo gyonna emisango tebasobola gibaggulirako wano nga tebayise mu mateeka ge Switzerland, tebayise mu mateeka ge Geneva, ge Greece n'amateeka ge Kenya. So bali wano mu bweru w'amateeka ne lwakuba nti eno kangaroo court tetusuubirayo nnyo kyabakulu. So bagambye ruling yanga 2 katuddeyo tutuule ne dokita n'abalala ne tiimu yaffe y'abannamateeka ate tusala amagezi kubanga eno kooti twagitwalako dda mu constitutional court mu musango gwa Kabaziguluka era kooti etaputa ssemateeka constitutional court negamba kimenya ssemateeka okuleeta basiviliani wano mu kooti eno n'obaggulako emisango nga si basirikale. Attorney General ne gavumenti ne bagaba bajulidde apiiru Owiny-Dollo yakyagituulidde. Era tugamba okubonaabona kw'abantu baffe okusigala nga bakyabaleeta wano abatali b'amagye. Owiny-Dollo yavunaanyizibwa ku bino byonna. Owiny-Dollo yali badde Supreme Court yasalawo ddegoye ku nsonga eno kubanga Owiny-Dollo yafulumya interim order kati giweze emyaka egyo 3 eno kooti eriwo ku interim order ya Owiny-Dollo egamba nti bagira bakyakola okutuusa nga Supreme Court emaze okusalawo kwa okujulira kwa Attorney General. Naye nga kooti yo etaputa ssemateeka yo yakisalawo dda nti eno kooti terina kakwate konna ku misango givunaanibwa ba civilian ne baba kusanze ne mundu meka oba n'amasasa ameka si buvunaanyizibwa bwe kukozesa misango egyo. Katugamba Owiny-Dollo gw'osiba abantu baffe nga judicial eri mu kkobaane n'abantu bano ne state okulaba nti abantu baffe baba persecutinga. So olutalo olwo tugenda genda nalwo maaso okulaba nga tulwanyisa kooti eno obutetaba mu kuwuliriza misango givunaanibwa ba civilian. Ekyo tugenda kiteekako nnyo amaanyi era tuddayo mu kisenge okukola enteekateeka eyo.
Because this is an illegal, illegitimate court. It has no jurisdiction in what is happening today. Dr. Besigye is not a serving soldier, and so he can't be presented here. In any case, you know, Kabazi Guruka, there's an outstanding judgment that this is an illegal thing. So we will be here just for mention. We are very happy that we have seen him alive because we thought he would be a Khashoggi, put in a tin of acid. We thought he would be Benedict Chiwanuka. We have so many permutations in our brains wondering what it will be like. We are not surprised. We are not. We are not surprised. And anybody who is surprised is a fool. Because you cannot expect Bushmen to deliver democracy. It's like you cook beans and deliver beef. It's not possible.
As members closer to Doctor, have you learnt about this today, or you had information in that regard earlier as we move towards the court martial?
You see, all you hear, all that is brought to your attention is not communicated. So we've been privy to some of the things that were going on, but we had not set the link. And it is Kenya again. Because when you have a rogue government in Kenya, then you're in trouble to have two rogue governments working hand in hand. The people of Kenya and the people of East Africa are in trouble because Kenya government, that rogue government, has surrendered its security to Uganda. And so Kenya is going to pay the price like Ugandans will pay the price, and all people who go to Kenya as tourists.
Thank you.
Please, take it seriously. You have a rogue government, rogue in Kenya.
Contrary to section 128(1)(f) of the UPDF Act, we presume this is Uganda People's Defence Forces Act of Uganda. That is the presumption, a rebuttable one, depending on the evidence given by whoever is preferring this charge. But we presume that they meant the forces of Uganda. This is again an absurdity, Mr. Chairman. Because when you talk about acts under the particulars of the offense, which relate to acts allegedly committed in Geneva, Switzerland, Athens in Greece, and in Nairobi in Kenya, and you relate them to the UPDF Act of Uganda, it's a nullity from the word go. So, Mr. Chairman, it's our prayer that this honorable tribunal be pleased to dismiss the charge sheet. To strike out, Mr. Chairman. It's our prayer, Mr. Chairman, that this honorable tribunal be pleased to strike out this charge sheet and accordingly discharge the accused persons, because as far as this charge sheet is concerned, there are no cases that should be preferred against them within the laws of the Republic of Uganda. Finally, Mr. Chairman, the accused persons have been illegally presented before you, Mr. Chairman. The two accused persons here traveled to Nairobi lawfully for a legitimate activity, which was never in any way questioned by the security agencies, and were cleared by the immigration authorities of Uganda. So they have been in Kenya lawfully, or they entered Kenya lawfully. And Mr. Chairman, once you are in a foreign territory, you can only be returned forcibly through the due process of the law. If you do not return voluntarily, and there are forces compelling you to return, they have to follow the due process. And there are only two ways under the law. Either extradition, that is under the Extradition Act of Uganda, or deportation. In which case, Mr. Chairman, if it's about extradition, it has to be upon a request of the Minister for Foreign Affairs that they are facing charges in Uganda here, and they are fugitives in Kenya, and they are demanding for assistance of the neighboring country to repatriate them back. We are not advised, it's not anywhere on record, Mr. Chairman, that that has happened. It's not on record. If you are to be a deportation, it presupposes that they entered the country illegally, or having entered Kenya legally, they committed offenses in Kenya. Again, it would be the authorities in Kenya to handle that. And they have to go through the judicial process in Kenya. Deportation has to be by a court order given by the Kenyan authorities, Kenyan courts of law. So in this particular case, Mr. Chairman, the record does not bring out those facts, that they were either extradited or deported. And according to Mr. Chairman, the Human Rights Enforcement Act of Uganda, once proceedings are rooted in a nullity, Mr. Chairman, this Honorable Tribunal has no choice but to terminate the same. It's our contention, Mr. Chairman, that the accused persons have been illegally produced before you. They have not been repatriated, rather deported, neither have they been extradited. And if anything, Mr. Chairman, they have not even gone through the immigration back here. As we stand today, they are presumed to be in Nairobi, in Kenya. The law presumes that they are still in Kenya. It would be a very, very absurd situation, Mr. Chairman, for this honorable court to sit here to handle cases or matters involving the two individuals who are currently standing in Nairobi. In the dock where they are standing here, the law presumes that they are in Nairobi, and the court is sitting in Uganda. So, Mr. Chairman, that is really an absurdity which cannot be condoned by this honorable court, honorable tribunal. So on those grounds, Mr. Chairman, we pray that you be pleased to strike out the charge sheet, dismiss the case, set the accused persons free unconditionally, and have them discharged. We do so, pray, Mr. Chairman.
And Section 208 of Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, which is an act of parliament, states a person alleged to have committed a service offense may be charged or dealt with and tried under military law, whether the alleged offense was committed in Uganda or out of Uganda. So to say that an offense which was committed in Athens, Nairobi, and that section resolves that. My Lord Chairman and honorable members, on the issue of extradition, that one can be addressed at it will be addressed. It can be his defense, and it should not be addressed at this stage. What is the evidence which has been produced before this honorable court that retired Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye is supposed to be in Nairobi? That evidence has not been available before this honorable court. You are acting, you are submitting on speculation. So, we pray that counsel be overruled and his prayer be dismissed. All those are rotating on his jurisdiction. The offense is committed in Nairobi, so I didn't want to go in it, but the whole thing is rotating on jurisdiction, whether an offense was committed in Uganda or not. And this section of the law addresses it.
Council, do you have any rejoinder to that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. One is objecting on grounds that the UPDF Act provides for service offenses to be tried by this honorable tribunal, whether committed here in Uganda or elsewhere. Mr. Chairman, the operative phrase here is service offense. And in this particular case, we're not talking about a service offense. Service offense under the UPDF Act means, in the definition section, an offense under this act or any other act for the time being in force committed by a person while subject to military law. Mr. Chairman, in this particular case, they are talking about, the law talks about an officer or a member of UPDF who is in actual service. Literally, that's what it means. It's a service offense. And it's on record, it's not in dispute that the accused persons are not members of the UPDF. Therefore, they are not amenable to charges of that nature, which are service offenses. Sir Chairman, the other argument is neither here nor there. And it's indeed really vague that it can only be raised in a defense. Mr. Chairman, it is the prosecution to make out its case. Sufficient particulars must be given, warranting the accused person to be put to their defense. So we are at a stage where the state must bring these facts before this honorable tribunal before we talk about the defense. It is the UPDF that is charging the accused persons. It is the same institution that presumably arrested them. And that's a fact. So it would be, again, very unreasonable for the prosecution to ever imagine that actually the onus is on the accused persons to bring evidence regarding their arrest. It would be very, very unreasonable. When actually it is the UPDF, under the UPDF Act, which has this tribunal, and they are the ones prosecuting the accused persons before this tribunal. They are the ones who arrested them, and they are the ones who are supposed to bring this evidence. So the presumption is that actually the tribunal has these facts because it's an integral part, the tribunal is an integral part of the institution of the UPDF, which presumably is the one which conducted the arrest, and I call it arrest in quotes, advisedly, because the accused did not bring themselves before this honorable tribunal. They were compelled by the UPDF. So, we are not obliged at this material time, Mr. Chairman, to adduce the kind of evidence he is talking about. Again, the rest of the issues have not been rebutted. We have raised a return of objections, and we are not surprised that they have not responded. They have not rebutted the same. We pray that Mr. Chairman, you take them as facts and you take them as uncontroverted prayers, which ordinarily should be granted. We reiterate our earlier prayer that you be pleased to strike out the charge sheet, because all our objections in regard to the duplicity and the illegality of the charge sheet have not been controverted. They have not been rebutted. So they remain unchallenged. And there is a wealth of authorities that once matters are unrebutted, they are taken for what they are as matters of fact, which should be accepted by court and a decision made accordingly. So we pray that your worship, Mr. Chairman, you grant our prayers that we earlier on made. We do so pray.
Uliro ubuomi muna Uganda kankwanjuliri pizza origami banonga biba kafuru abakozi ba pizza eri ku kyaddala anti mwatu kyekituyisa pizza origami funa pizza erimu ebirungo byotajja kusanga walala olina birthday party, baby shower, graduation party, wedding meetings oba oyagala kusanyusa abafamire yo weyunire pizza origami tusangibwa ku Jinja Road Plot 10 opposite Nema House. Mwana wattu tukola ne delivery ate mu kaseera katono ddala. Yitiraho kati oba tukubireko. Tuli ku noti 7 noti 8 7 8 8 ne noti 7 4 6 9 7 Pizza Origini tulya kyaddala. Gwe omuzadde eyitaze essomero erigenda okubangulira omwana wo nga muyeeya mukozi ate ayite ne first grade katukwanjulire Shehan Standard Day and Boarding Primary School abagenda okuteeka ebyensoma by'omwana wo ku mutendera ogusingira ddala. Empisa, eddiini, ebyemizannyo n'obuyiiya bwonna tubikulembereza ddala ng'ate ebyokulya n'ebyensula bya mulembe ddala. Tulina n'entambula eri abayizi abaviira ewala. Gwe ate omuzadde eyandiyagadde omwana wo okuyita ne first grade totunula obulala wonna okwewandiisa kugendera ddala maaso okuva ku nursery paka ku kibiina ekyomusanvu. Day ne boarding ng'ate n'ebisale birungi ate bisobokera ddala. Jjukira nti requirements zonna omwana wo azisanga ku ssomero. Tusangibwa Lubaga mu Bulwa Zone okuliraana 24/7 motel. Gwe ayagala okumanya ebisingawo tukubire ku noti 773 73 359 ne noti 757 noti 6 26 96. Shehan Standard Primary School. We invest in education.